Stone Sage, how we all doing today? Today I'm going to talk about playing pool. Uh, I love playing the game of pool. I can remember as a kid going someplace with my parents, and there was a pool table. Might have been a bar with my dad one time. Um, and I remember watching him play pool, and they let me play pool, and I thought it was a great game. I was hooked once I played. And had some neighbors that had a pool table in their basement, so we'd go over there and play pool. And I was, I guess, 11, 12, 13. Then when we moved to Pennsylvania, I started working, and one of the first things I bought was a pool table. Me and a friend were walking down the street. I lived in Devon, Pennsylvania, right near Wayne, and we walked all everywhere. And we were walking down the street, and the sporting goods store had a sale on a pool table, complete for $100. And since I'd been working and cutting grass, I had spare money. I was 14 years old, and so I went in and I talked to the guy. I said, "Yeah, I want to buy the pool table." He looked at me like, "Kid, you're a kid." I said, "Yeah, but I got the money. I still want to buy it." So I called my mom and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a pool table. Could you come and pick it up?" So she was kind of head and hawing, but said, "Yeah, okay." And she came down and we picked it up, put it in the back of the station wagon, and drove it home. And we set it up, and I was in pool heaven. Oh, I loved that table. I played it as much as I could. Then I can remember buying a book because I wanted to get better and about tricks and stuff. And I bought a book. I think it was Willie Mosconi, and all these tips on playing pool. And that was pretty interesting. So I learned. My dad taught me a little bit about the English and using the rails and all that. And so yeah, that game. And again, we played it all the time. Then we moved to Virginia, and the house didn't have no. We had a basement, so we put the pool table in the basement. Again, played my pool. That was great. Then we unfortunately moved to a house that was a smaller townhouse. It didn't have the open basement like the other house, so I ended up selling the pool table. And then a couple of years later, my parents moved again. It was like our one, two, third move in like 4 years, 5 years maybe. Yeah, about 5 years, 4 years. And my mother and I made a deal. I said, "I'll pay to do the basement, finish it out, electric, paneling, and ceiling, and all that. You buy a pool table." And she said, "All right." So I was doing carpentry at the time, and I had some friends that were doing that. I had a friend that was an electrician, and we knocked that basement out and just lickety split. Since paneling was the rage in the 70s, I took advantage of it, and we paneled the whole basement. Much using doing drywall, and she bought the pool table. So we'd come over and we'd play pool. We'd smoke a lot, have some beers, and then I had another friend. His parents had a pool table in their basement, so we'd go back and forth playing pool. And eight ball was the game we usually played, and that was so much fun. I enjoyed that. And then when my parents moved from that house, they moved it back into a different townhouse, and there was no room in this house for a pool table, so that pool table went. And at the time, the county I lived in, Fairfax County, didn't really like pool tables. They thought they were bad. And I can remember looking around trying to play pool with my sister. We couldn't find anywhere that had a pool table. So I had business going, and I said, let's start one. I found a location, found a place to get a good deal on pool tables. I went to the county and tried to get permits, and they wouldn't issue permits for that at that time. And so that kind of bummed me out. Then a few years later, my sister and mother moved down to Florida, and I moved down a couple years later. And they had this place, Kelly's Billiards. It was sold just a couple years ago. And you used to get there, they'd open at 10, and they had this deal, $5 all day. So you get in there at 10 until like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, till the night people get started coming in. You can play. And that was, I mean, great. I mean, dozens of games I played, and just again enjoyed the hell out of it. And then once my sister moved back to Virginia, we just didn't play that much. Had a Bible study that we went up and played at pool a couple times at this place, Kelly's Billiards. Then I had a girlfriend at one time that was doing different things, let's say. And we'd go out, and I remember one night she liked dive bars, so we went into this dive bar, and at the time, I couldn't wear my prosthesis. So I was on crutches, and I did really well on crutches. I mean, I used them a lot. So we're sitting at the bar, and they had a pool table, and I'm watching this guy play pool, and I'm going, all right. And I say, hey, can I, want to play a game? And he goes, yeah, yeah. And he said, but you only got one leg. I said, that doesn't matter. So we start playing pool, and I ended up beating him thoroughly. And he was kind of surprised that I could do it on one leg. I said, hey, I've played a lot. So I did that a few times with my girlfriend at the time. Then, I guess 5, 6, 10 years later, maybe, I hadn't really played a whole lot of pool. I was being a dad and just taking care of business. We went up to Virginia, and I can't remember why we went up there at the time. But my sister's sister-in-law's husband, they had a big house with a pool table, and we'd go over to their house and have some beers and whatever. And he had this table, and he was bragging how good he was, and he could do this and he could do that. And he knew I was a hippie, so he didn't like people that smoked pot too much. And I said, well, I'll play you. He says, you? I said, yeah. So I played once or twice. And he's going, okay. Now I'm pretty good. I don't want to, don't want you to feel bad. I said, hey, don't worry. I've played my share. Won and lost my share of pool games. So he starts playing again. We're playing 8-ball, and he's doing pretty good. Then he misses, and it's my turn, and I do pretty good. And then he gets up and doesn't do that well, and I do good again. And next thing I know, I'm shooting at the 8-ball, and he's just kind of like dumbfounded, like, well, how could this guy do it? So we played like 3 or 4 more games, and each time I beat him, and I could see that he was getting angry because he had a real swelled head. I mean, he thought he was like pool god, and but it was nice beating him and blowing down, popping his bubble. But yeah, I still play a whole lot of pool anymore, but I still really enjoy the game. Alrighty, peace out.